buried the dog, but didn't notice the dirt moving as they walked away. You see, the dog had been hit by a truck. Thinking he was dead, his owners buried him, then left for the weekend. But he was actually just unconscious. When he woke up underground, he clawed his way back up to the surface. And when the family returned days later, they found him waiting on the porch, wagging his tail. He was happy, and they were horrified.
But I can't touch the color yellow. This doesn't count because it's piss, not yellow. This doesn't count because I banged my head and got a concussion. The checkpoints don't count. This doesn't count because it just doesn't, okay? This doesn't count because I don't feel like it. This also doesn't count because the color was constantly changing. This challenge is so easy.
The tank flew across the room, striking the boy in the head. You see, he was undergoing an MRI scan after a surgery, but during the procedure, a staff member accidentally brought a metal oxygen tank into the room. And when the machine was turned on, its massive magnet pulled the tank into the chamber where the boy was laying. And despite medical attention, he passed away 2 days later. She was found asleep on the arm of a crane, 130 feet above the ground. See, she had climbed out of her house, walked to a construction site, and scaled the crane, all while sleepwalking. A man saw her and called emergency services, and she was still sleeping when a firefighter climbed out to her. Now, waking her up could have caused her to panic and fall, so he used her phone to call her parents. They woke her up gently as a lift was prepared, and after 2.5 hours, she was rescued. The couple woke from their sleep as fires tore through the neighborhood. They tried to escape by car, but the flames had already surrounded them. With no way out, they jumped into a neighbor's pool. For the next 6 hours, they stayed underwater, only coming up for air. Tragically, they were forced to watch as their home was completely destroyed. But finally, the fire died down, and they climbed out, exhausted but alive, and broke his neck. But even though he screamed for help, no one was around to hear him. He laid in freezing conditions, wearing only his pajamas. But his dog heard his cries and laid on top of him to keep him warm. She licked his face to keep him awake and barked for help. And she did this for almost 24 hours straight. A neighbor finally heard and found the man, barely alive, and he ended up surviving thanks to his dog's devotion.
Imagine you're walking to work one day, and suddenly,
kaboom! There goes your tower. Watch it crumble, feel the power.
A man dressed as Bigfoot walked into a dark highway, hoping to trick the drivers. But his costume was made from a camouflage that made him look like a pile of leaves. And because of this, the drivers didn't see him. He was immediately hit by a car at full speed, knocking him down. A second car swerved to avoid him, but the third ran him over again, and he tragically died. I saw Washington crossing the river, planning a surprise attack. He quickly wrote a note and sent it to warn his commander. But when it arrived, the commander was busy playing cards and didn't bother to read it. Instead, he stuffed it into his pocket and kept playing. The next morning, Washington's troops attacked, catching the British off guard. During the fight, the commander was shot and fell to the ground, and as he lay there dying, the unread note that could have saved his life fell from his pocket. They taped up his arms and legs after he fell asleep outside the bar as a practical joke. And he was so drunk that he didn't wake up, even after they tied a chair to his back. The bartender filmed everything and even shared the video with friends. After a few more drinks, they forgot about the prank, and when the bar closed, the man was left outside in the freezing cold. For 10 hours he stayed there, and when he was found the next morning, he had frozen to death.